When we went to the gala last year, we saw all the statistics about what the monthly giving was like. I just felt immediately that we were called to start giving monthly because we were fortunate enough to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. And then also, I felt like more people needed to know about foundations. And so that's how we got plugged in, was through the gala last year.
Yeah, we really believe in all the missions that you have here. And it's just really important. You know, we're built to be parents, and there's a lot of people that just don't get any support. And they deserve it. They need it. So what we can give, and if it helps more people get involved, that's better.
Well, in July of 2024, we found out that we were expecting, and it was a very exciting moment because we had been trying to have a baby for a good while, and it was just amazing because the timing was so perfect for us. And so I continued with my pregnancy, and everything was going so well. And we found out we were having a little girl, and that was a really exciting day. Yeah. I look back and I think that when we heard the heartbeat for the first time, and then when we found out the gender, those are the two biggest days that stick out to me.
Yeah, you start forming all these dreams and thoughts of the future and how their life will be and how it's going to be a girl dad for me and stuff. You know, it's funny. I guess I always wanted to be a father, but I never really thought about it at that point. And then it became really real when we found out it was going to be a girl.
Right. And so then right before we did our anatomy scan, I actually ended up going into preterm labor. And so we were rushed to Memorial, and I ended up giving birth to her the next day. It was a really hard time for us and for our whole family, but it happened so quickly that we didn't really know how to make sense of it all, or why it happened, and we didn't really have a lot of answers. But one thing that we knew for sure was that God wasn't going to waste our pain. When we were fortunate enough to have our village is when we realized that this was God calling us to try to go out and be the village for other people. So that was why we decided and felt called to do what we could to support foundations.
Brad and Lindsay were in the middle of this just tremendous loss. And in the middle of all that, they still chose to help other people. We were just deeply moved and completely honored by their generosity. And we knew right away that we needed to use any funds that were given in Adeline's memory in a special way. So after talking as a staff team and praying through it, we presented Brad and Lindsay with the idea of creating a designated fund named after Adeline Joy. And so the Adeline Joy Fund would be used to help other families struggling financially in the wake of child loss or injury or hospitalization. You know, these situations aren't things that happen all the time, so we didn't know how God was going to use the Adeline Joy Fund, but then we met Alyssa.
I'm Alyssa White. I'm the mom of Caleb Johnson. I have two other boys, Julius and Travis, and I'm here to talk about Caleb's journey with him having a heart defect, with him having, he was diagnosed with something called Creutzfeldt syndrome. The doctors wanted me to, abort him before I gave birth, but it didn't ever sit well with my spirit, and I just said, no, I want to meet my son. I want to meet my baby. Caleb was born January the 11th, 2024, and he passed away March the 11th of 2024. And with me coming into the Resource Foundation, I had come into a point in my life where I was facing an eviction of losing my home for me and my other 2 children. And a neighbor of mine had got in contact with the Resource Foundation, and with the foundation, they had another couple who was connected with them as well, which helped me to be able to keep my home in the process of going through an eviction and having to deal with the loss of a child, and still keeping to be able to maintain and get back with the root of everyday life.
Alyssa came into Foundations for the first time as an expectant single mother on the verge of an eviction, and she was asking us for help with her rent. We don't typically provide direct financial assistance, but after hearing her story and with the newly found Adeline Joy Fund in mind, we knew God had sent her our way for this purpose.
Even through all of that, God did allow me to be expecting again. We've always been told it takes a village to raise a child. And when I realized that I have more than just my church family, that's a village. I have other resources that is a village, and to understand that particular resources that the Resource Foundation had was able to allow me to keep my home in the process of getting ready to bring a new life into the world along with my 2 other children. It just gives me so much joy and wants me to push even more harder to be able to help someone else, even if it is just to share his story, even if it is to kind of help them go in a different way or understand something a little bit differently.
I think that when we look back, it's just so obvious how God had his hand in every part of our story and every part of Adeline's story. And so we were so thrilled, and we just knew that this is why we're going through what we're going through, and this is how we're going to help use our pain to help other moms and families and babies and that are going through something similar that's so hard to go through.
It literally takes a village. It literally takes a stranger that you don't know. It literally takes a foundation that you never heard of. It takes different things. And knowing that I have that family, and knowing that I can come and show my face and talk and hug and just catch up anytime when I can, and to share this new life that's coming even after losing a life of a child, but to know and feel the joy and the excitement. Now that will make me cry sometimes. That will make me like, wow, I do have that.
I mean, with Alyssa, before we knew what the funds were going for, we were happy that Adeline was going to have her name on something, that there was a chance people could be helped. But then when she told us that, it felt like divine providence, just like it was meant to be that way. It's where it needed to go.
Mm-hmm. We had complete faith in the Lord and in y'all and Foundations that the money was going to be used for the right purpose. And knowing that it went to another lost mom is so evident of how the Lord had his hand in all of this.
So at Foundations, we believe that it takes a village, not just to raise a child, but to be in any hard situation. And a lot of the women we meet don't have that. And so we try to come alongside them and provide that village that they might not have otherwise, by giving them resources and just walking alongside them through those hard things. And that's why we just believe that we should be the village.
It's hard to find meaning in these things that happen to us. And it feels like a gift to be given that meaning a bit.